Hello, my loves. How are you? Today, we're going to dive into a shared heart space message. And this feels energetically definitely within the own internal heart energies, but also can be used as a reflection within the sacred feminine and sacred masculine collectives. And what I'm sensing and picking up on is that there is something in the shared heart space that's wanting to be clarified and sort of opened up. And there's this energy and essence of some form of either like old defense mechanism, protective mechanism, or just like a blind spot that the collective may not be aware of because there was a space and time where it was necessary for it to be there. And I've been picking up on these energies, but I felt guided to like dive into it here with you in real time. So whatever comes through will be reflected in the title of the messages. So I'm going to start out with some insights and information from the masculine collective heart space, from the masculine side, because that's where I've been feeling almost like this sort of um frozen to thawing energy. It feels like where there may have been past dissociation. This could go back to the core wound, it could go to this life, it could go to yesterday. But some forms of where old dissociation energy is thawing out, and the old instinct to want to freeze it is dissolving as well. So it feels like there's this energy reaching this pinnacle point where there's no more longer the option to freeze or dissociate. Things are really being pushed to the surface to be looked at. But as I'm saying that, I saw almost like a seedling popping up and over the surface. Like it's because the masculine collective has reached a point in their internal growth where this is like the next steps and stages for them to be able to be really go into their next levels of growth. Now, mind you, as a feminine, this could also be your internal energies. And even as I'm saying that, I sense that there is a mirrored energy over on the feminine side. So I love when this happens because you can get insights into the collective, but also then use the messages to work within your own heart space or to dance in your own heart space or to just have that awareness to hold loving space for your heart to bloom and blossom. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see if it resonates. Oh, we got two. Okay. Fallen angel, spiritual narcolepsy, dances on one foot, balancing act. Wow. Okay. The way this is coming through, like what's coming through is where the masculines, but it's reflected in humanity in general, have sort of been in this state of not having full access to all of their higher power and all of their true energy. And that they've been like really trying to balance and live life and create and build on one foot. And in the sense, what this is saying to me is like, we've kind of reached this point pinnacly as a collective where we've done what we can do within that limited perspective. Okay. And so we're reaching a point in our growth as humanity that it is time to allow our next levels of growth to occur. And what's coming to my mind is like, I remember when I was going through these processes in myself, like opening up spiritually, but I was still trying to apply everything I grew up in. And I was getting frustrated that I felt like I wasn't getting where I wanted to go, even though I was doing everything I had been taught to do. But it was like I was just kept hitting these walls. And what happened was this realization after I pretty much exhausted myself, like it was this realization that I was exhausted, not because I was not doing enough or not figuring it out or whatever. It was that I was trying to do what I was meant to do in the bandwidth that I had outgrown. And this is what's coming through is like you think you're not doing enough, but actually what it is you are ready to grow to your next levels. And you might feel limited or frustrated or like you're trying to balance too much and you don't have the capacity to create or manifest what you're wanting to create. Well, because for two reasons. One, you're not using all of your actual abilities, and the frustration is happening because there's a sense and a knowing that you have more capabilities. But the issue is when we only look at things from a logical, linear perspective, it's actually limiting our capacity to manifest and co-create. And so it feels like what's happening is like that bandwidth that we originally learned how to create and build or take action in is so suffocatingly small that it's time to expand to those next levels, those next dimensions, and to expand into being able to stand on 2 feet, right? Like with all of who we are. And I know that a lot of you guys have been doing this, and this feels like bringing this to your awareness that if there might be some things you're still kind of navigating, right? Like more higher power parts of yourself that you're learning, which this is what life is about. We're always learning and growing. But it feels like there is a part of the collective that has reached a point where now their growth is feeling stunted by the fact that they've shut parts of themselves down. And it feels like this is really wanting to open up, but it's almost like I said, with that seed trying to sprout and like also trying to hold back, it's like you can't stop the seed's growth, right? Like it, you just have to let things happen naturally. It's so funny, like the same way that we can't force things to ripen prematurely or to be ready to harvest early, we also at the same time can only suppress growth for so long. Okay. And it's coming through that the masculines may have attempted to suppress some of their growth to feel more safe and in control of how they're navigating their life. But this is like a major growth spurt that's wanting to come forward, especially and significantly for the masculine collective. So, if you're feeling this in the heart space, we'll get some messages of support around this. Let's see, what can we focus on to support this growth spurt? Is there any messages that want to come through for the physical? Oh, okay. The physical embodiment of this growth spurt in a way that feels comfortable or more comfortable. Okay. So we have the Queen of Pentacles flipped in the deck, and then the wheel came out, and then the King of Cups landed in my lap. And I've told you there is something about these energies. And to me, as I read it, like this is the way that it came in. Okay. And to me, this is like the embodiment of the inner union energies, right? A feminine essence that's stable in her physical material world, and a masculine that's stable in his emotional world, right? And the way the wheel is here, it feels like the collectives are acknowledging that some of these, I don't want to say, I know we're all working on it, but there is a subsection of what we're working on where somewhat the roles are being reversed. Okay. But it's not in a inappropriate like way. It's in more of like where each collective is getting to embody their true full bandwidth. Okay. So, where we've talked about the masculines typically being more materially focused and the feminines being more emotionally focused, within this, both parties are learning to embrace all of who they actually are, and it's balancing things out. So this so-called role reversal is actually the ability to learn how to embody all of who we are. And so this feels like a bridging message, and I have a feeling it's a bridging message into whatever the feminines might be experiencing. But it's really just about that embodiment of your higher self into your physical body, into your material physical world, and the ability to harness your emotions and to um, work with them in a way that's supportive and grounded and stabilized, even in situations that aren't always feeling super stable. But what this does is we learn these things is it allows us to stand on 2 feet, even when it feels like things are unstable, right? So it's at first when you're opening up, say, to embodying and experiencing more of your emotions. And if you've held your emotions back for a long time, when it first starts to come out, it can feel unstable. But what happens over time is you allow that to process and you get comfortable with the emotions. Well, what has happened now is you have significantly expanded your bandwidth and your ability to stabilize in whatever is happening around you. Okay. I know a lot of you guys have been doing it, but it feels I love when these messages come through because they feel like a grounding and a deeper stabilization and an acknowledgement of the importance of this ability to temper, of this ability to be our higher self, but in a very physically manifested way, to embody into our material physical world and not need to shut that out, to allow our higher emotional and spiritual self to be comfortable in physicality and to allow our physical material self to be comfortable embracing emotions. Because at the end of the day, the more of our true life force and essence that we have access to, the more life we get to enjoy, my loves. All right. So let's see what the feminines would like to bring through for their heart space and what they want to contribute. Mhm. Calming the waters, peaceful self-regulation. Beautiful, right? So just like what we're talking about is the feminines are deepening into allowing themselves to drop into feeling calm and peaceful and regulating their nervous system, even in those unknown pockets, right? Even in these new places and spaces that may have felt unstable in the past, right? Even what's coming to me is where there was a time, I think most of us have probably experienced this, you let me know, where the feminine energies were very much pushed into their full emotional side because in the masculines were pushed more into their physical side. And that created like the polarization within relationship dynamics. And what was really happening is they were attempting to balance the energy together, right? Like where one held the physical and one held the spiritual. But as we learn how to balance those internally with our own energies, when we can embody the emotions into a stable, physically manifested, mastered way, right? Like we still experience the emotions, we're not shutting them down. We might experience them. We might have to go sit and be quiet and self regulate if we get triggered. But the fact that we can do that without shutting it down or freezing it off or running away, per se, that's showing that we're able to keep an open heart and have our emotions, but also be responsible for those emotions without needing to project it onto someone else. Okay. And what I mean by that is again, I feel like and I'm saying the masculine and feminine dynamics, but this can literally happen in any relationship. In the law of nature, it's like we naturally want to energetically balance one another out. Okay. So if you have someone who is generally reflective and they self-reflect on situations, and then you have someone who's generally a deflector and they project what they're experiencing out onto other people. If you put those two together, it might intensify, right? But as they balance, right, those things will calm down. And as the person who typically deflects starts to self reflect and take self responsibility, that want to deflect onto the other person will calm down. And the person who generally is self reflective will also be self responsible, but will not continue to take on what other people are deflecting upon them. Okay. So, I'm not quite exactly sure why that came on, but I think this particular rebalancing can happen in many scenarios. It's really like what we see in our world is where energies want to balance one another out. So if one person is in an extreme, the other person may go to the other extreme to bring the balance to the current situation. But if both parties can open up to who they actually are, all of the parts of themselves, to kind of come together in some levels of community consciousness, not like giving up who they are or what their beliefs or their stances are, but softening to this understanding that everyone holds some of the essences and things that we can learn from, right? And when we open up to that, we can soften into not needing to control things or make them a certain way. And this can be very relaxing to the system and the self-regulation. Okay. This message kind of went in a different direction than what I originally felt, but it does make sense. Let's see what the feminines want to share a little bit deeper around this peaceful self-regulation. I also feel with this pocket that I'm talking about, where we learn how to temper within our own heart and with our own energies, we can then bring that into our relationships. And it's especially important within the heart space to drop in our own calming energy where we may feel dysregulation or where we would want to freeze or run or shut down. You may need to go take time for yourself, but you can also still reopen that space internally for yourself. Okay. It's just coming to me as like a protective mechanism. Okay. So with the feminines, what I'm getting with this, wow, this feels kind of deep to me, is where the feminines have felt this, there's something like literally sort of frozen within this. And what's coming to me is where the feminines have experienced or asked to align with their divine masculine counterpart or a partner, right? And where they have may have been met with the distortion or the deception or the mirror of those other things. And what's coming to me is around the reflection of dropping deeper into self love and whatever was reflected in the sense that was showing you where maybe in the past you were self betraying. That's what's coming. Okay. But what do we got? What do we got? And this, I feel like something wants to come in the middle. Oh, wow. Two tens. So the 10 of cups and the 10 of wands. And this to me is like where the feminines have been working on walking away from what doesn't work to walk towards her 10 of cups internally. So the feminines are still working on this process, but doing a beautiful job because tens are this energy of completion. And that might make sense why this feels so deep to me. It's like deep in the heart space. Okay. I want to get one more message for a shared heart space final message on what can support this deeper self regulation and also opening up to all of who we are. And the fact that the calming waters came is so beautiful because literally yesterday I just bought a brand new deck, the Healing Waters Oracle. I was very drawn to it. So we're going to pick a card from the Healing Waters Oracle, and I'm going to actually read from the guidebook as well, just to bring in a supportive message for this energy of the shared heart space and stabilizing the emotional energies into a balanced and supportive energy. Okay. Oh, wow. We got Atlantis. Keep the big vision, stay in alignment as you grow. Okay, yeah, we're definitely. It's so funny because I've had this wonder if this was some old ancient patterns kind of surfacing. So there is some confirmation. If you guys have been wondering, it may be connected back to the original separations. And we're getting so deep and so close to healing those original core wounds and separations that that's why this energy is feeling so deep. Okay, let's see what the book has to say. Mhm. In his writings, the ancient Greek philosopher Plato described a great civilization called Atlantis, whose island home is in the Atlantic Ocean, was a marvel of architecture. Its capital city was made up of a series of concentric circles separated by moats of water, and at the center was a temple dedicated to Poseidon, the god of the sea. The Atlanteans were a highly advanced people who were very much tapped into and connected with the energy of the universe. They also harnessed the power of the water and air in their technologies and practices. Perhaps this is where their tremendous psychic and magical abilities for manifesting their great visions into physical came from. Eventually, Atlantis's growth got out of hand and its people became greedy and disrespectful. A series of earthquakes caused the island to sink to the bottom of the ocean, and for millennia, people have been captivated by the legend of the lost civilization. This card is one of huge visions and promises. You have the potential to create great things in the world. However, it comes with a warning to stay in alignment when you grow, to create rather than produce. Don't get addicted to growth. Instead, stay true to your mission and inner calling. This is such a beautiful message. And it feels important with some of those messages we've been getting around, like playfulness and allowing ourselves to come back into that central heart space and drop into the joy and the fun. And it's like that deeper tempering of things to come. And it feels like there's definitely more with this energy that I'm feeling. I can feel it sort of wants to open up and thaw out. So I'm thinking that we're going to give this some space, but I'm going to come back with a part two around this Atlantis energy and connected with the heart space and what's sort of opening up in the current energies. All right, loves. I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you have going on and hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. All right, love you.